Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am riding down the highway, just doing some thinking. This is one of the places that I do my thinking. There in the gym, and I was driving and I was thinking about the Salafi community in America and some of the problems and obstacles that we have. And I was thinking, you know, how do we overcome some of these obstacles? And some of these obstacles, you know, are very specific, and I do believe that they need those who have the skill set to deal with them or to tackle them effectively. I think it should be left to those who, you know, who have this the skill set, as not to muck the waters with, you know, a bunch of non-beneficial conversation and ideas. But I think that when we look at the Salafi community, and as I mentioned, I believe that the majority of those from America, that indigenous population who claims Salafia, are African American. You know, historically, we know the dynamic between the African American population and the general American population and the government. We all know that history. So the African American in specific has a lot of problems. I mean, from the top to the bottom, you know, I mean, the list is long. And one of the things that I think that we have issue with, or we should take issue with, is economics and education. One of the things that I don't hear being promoted or being encouraged or being pushed from those who have the microphone and those who have the ear of the people is education. There seems to be this association with being poor and being Salafi, or being secularly uneducated and being Salafi, as if you cannot be educated secularly and that you can't be financially well off and also have the proper aqidah and minhaj. There seems to be like this idea that being poor and being broke is synonymous with Salafia here in America. And I think that that's something that needs to change. I think from those who have the microphone, they need to understand the importance of secular education. And when I say secular education, I don't necessarily mean college, but that includes those who want to do a trade. You know, be a plumber, be a carpenter, be a HVAC, you know, tech, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Whatever your field of study is, whatever you know, want to do as a profession, I think that it should be understood that you should get the highest level of certification or education or degree in that field that you can get. Because in America, everything is based on economics and credentials. You know, even when you look internationally, when you want to go look for a job overseas, one of the things that they ask or require many times is for a degree. What is your degree in? When we talk about, you know, government contracts, getting government contracts, if you are a mechanic or a plumber or whatever the case may be, you may be the best hood plumber or the best hood mechanic in the world. But if you don't have that certification to go with it, then you're not even eligible for government contracts. You're not eligible for that big money. So I would encourage everyone who, you know, wants to study something or wants to have a certain profession or is currently in a profession, and maybe you're not certified on paper or degreed on paper, in that you go get those certifications, that you go get those degrees, and it will help to open doors. Again, we're talking about some of the ways to rectify the community, and education is a big one. I think that's something that has to be taken seriously, has to be taken into account. It is not the only way, but it is a part of the puzzle to help change the situation of the African-American Muslim community, and in specific, those who claim Salafiyya. We don't want our children to free mix. We don't want a free mix. That's one of the things that we all understand, but yet we don't have many schools to send them to that are based upon Salafiyya. When I say based upon, I mean the administration, the teachers, you know, all of those people who are in leadership are upon the correct aqidah, the correct minhaj. We don't have very many of these types of schools. So then we're either forced to homeschool, or we're forced to send our schools or send our children to the school of the kuffar. We don't want our women, you know, to go see the OBGYN doctor who's a kafir. But yet we don't encourage our girls to become OBGYN doctors. We don't encourage our girls to become doctors, period. We don't really encourage our boys to be doctors, period. You can have secular education and have Salafiyya as your way. So we just need to, I think, change the mentality and revamp how we are understanding existing in the current society that we're in. We are in America, right? Things cost money. Many of the Salafi masajid that I have seen, you know, many times they're in urban areas. They may be in dilapidated buildings, or they may be set up in a makeshift small home in a residential area that's not really conducive to growth. It's not really financially stable, meaning the roof has a hole in it, the water heater breaks during the winter time, the driveway needs to be repaired. Now, one or two things are happening. It's going to take you a year or more, you know, to get these repairs, or you're going to have to go hat in hand to some of the larger masajid and ask for money to help repair your masjid. You know, we seem to be comfortable with being the lower hand. And I think we need to get out of that mentality. I was in the masjid, in the community masjid, the general masjid, where many of the immigrants go, and many of the African Americans, you know, go there as well. And I remember that they fundraised $200,000 or $250,000 within like 30 minutes, in between Salatul Tarawih. The four, you know, they did 4 rak'ah, did the fundraising, and then did another 4. But they fundraised that large amount of money that goes toward funding programs that they have in the general masjid. They have a school there. They have a food pantry there. They have marriage counseling there. They do outreach to non-Muslims, meaning education. They do open door. I forget the name of it. Like, you know, like open door, 1 or 2 days a week. Anyone can come in general from the community. They open the doors. They have a table set up. They teach, you know, and sometimes these things cost money. They fund the iftar for the entire 30 days of Ramadan, you know, and these are things that you find in the general masjid, in the community that I am in, but you definitely do not find that within the Salafi masjids in the city that I am in. So I think we sort of need to look at how we're going about existing here in America. We need to revamp, or, you know, think about progression and what that means, and how to stay within the legislation and stay grounded in what's correct, but in the meantime, create a situation that's good for our community, good for our children. You know, what are we passing on to our children when we die? Are we passing on to them the same problems and the same shortcomings and the same obstacles that we had? All we're doing is passing it on to them, or are we passing on to them a better situation that they can build upon and make the situation better for their children? We can't keep spinning our wheels and attempting to reinvent the wheel, you know, and claim that, you know, this is what Salafi calls to. This is what the Quran and the Sunnah calls to. We can be progressive. We can be economically stable. We can be upon what's correct at the same time. You know, we need to learn application, you know, because I'll say this to anybody, no doubt, Salafiyya is correct. The Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf Salih is 100% correct. The issue or the problem that I think we have is application. How do we apply the Quran and the Sunnah? How do we apply all these technical terms that we learn, that we hear in the various durus, the various classes? How do we apply that to make our reality better? Because if it's not doing that, then it's just empty words. When I was in Kuwait, I had a student of knowledge, non-POC, tell me that African Americans and African American Muslims should not be concerned with economics. Economics shouldn't be a part of what we focus on, that we should just focus purely on deen. Now, I would contend that economics is a part of deen. Every aspect of the human existence and the human reality is expressed and explained within the Quran and the Sunnah. So this type of thinking that we shouldn't be focused on economics, we shouldn't be focused on secular education and this is dangerous thinking. This is dangerous thinking. And this is what's being pushed and promoted by people outside of the African American community who have the microphone and have the ear of the people. And I think this is dangerous, and I think this is something that needs to be, rethought. I don't think that there's a malicious intent behind it. I just think that it's some ignorance behind it and not really understanding the application, that it's not a cross application for everybody. You know, just like with a medicine, you know, the pathology or the sickness needs to be pinpointed so that the proper medicine can be applied or given to the patient in order to fix whatever is wrong with them. And this is what we need from Islam. We need to know the proper application so that we can apply it to the different issues that we have that are specific to us, to make us a better community, to make us better Muslims, to make us better husbands and wives and sons and daughters and leaders of the community. So I will leave it right there. I'm on my way into the halal store to go pick up some food for the fam. Anyway, that's just a few thoughts that I had. Inshallah. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm wrong, please tell me why I'm wrong. If you agree, tell me you agree. Tell me what you agree with. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.